Okay, so welcome to the World is King CJ Music Podcast. And so we're gonna talk about Joyner Lucas and Jelly Roll's Best for Me. But this comes with a huge disclaimer, which I think I have some anonymity when it comes to who I am. Um, you know, to who I am. When I talk about music, but there's there's information in which I'm not going in too much into detail about, but I will go into about a little bit about like personal information when we say best for me, and especially because this Jelly Roll chorus has um some deep stuff for me personally. Well, it's deep. It's deep. It's deep, and especially because the context and what we're talking about, it's very deep to talk about. So we're gonna talk about track 10, "Best for Me" on Jonas Lucas's uh, "Not Now I'm Busy," and so this disclaimer for personally, it's personally for me. For anybody that knows me technically, that will be listening to this, because I know it is kind of listened to. Uh, because I because and this song is kind of talking about addiction, and it's not me directly. It's not me attacking them at all, but it's to a point where when we talk about addiction, I'm kind of mediator for a lot of the mediator for a lot of people to personally express how they feel about certain things or what they're going through. So it's only right for me to say that if you know who I am personally, um, this isn't me attacking you at all. Because I've seen I've seen people that deal with their addiction, but their addiction brings out the most beautiful sides of them. Uh, One person in particular, I'll go person A. Person A, um, person A that I know personally, is one of the most creative person that I know, and so it's 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 amazing because of what they're able to do and how creative they can be on certain things. Person B for me personally, right? This is my personal disclaimer for people that know me and to show you that I'm not attacking you, right? And this isn't me preaching either. Let me put it. I'm not saying that I'm holier than thou, but it's and I'm saying this about these two people because I want to explain that it's that they're not the problem, right? People go through things in their life and which makes them fall for certain addictions. I know if I give them an opinion, they'll say that music's my addiction, right? Um, but it's amazing to me. For example, at person B, uh, I adore, I adore, uh, the guy is levels better than me, right? But him being able to use certain things, and I'm not saying they're addicted, but they do use it regularly. Certain things, and the guy's so creative. Uh, the guy is so creative, and I know it's a long disclaimer, but the guy's so creative. He he can draw, but the guy can play any instrument you give him. On a minute's notice, I seen him play a violin for somebody that needed it, right? And it's remarkable. And he'll probably say we're equally talented or whatever, but it unlocks something for him. and person A, the same thing. It's it's done beautiful things for them, and I know it's not necessarily their idea, but I could see them playing in like the royal, like a sympathy, right? Like a large band. It's I could go and talk about these people for like 40 minutes, right? I could go talk about these people for 40 minutes, and it's just partially because it's I could go on for hours about this, right? About these particular people. And so this is kind of me keeping it real with especially the audience, of me saying that while I personally have not had any, I've been around a lot of people that have fallen to the use or um fallen to addictions, or that people that have addictions. But they're remarkable people. It just is something of how they deal with life. It's I'll go into detail, right? I'll go into detail and explain this all, but let's get to the course of the actual part of the episode that is this Best for Me, Joyner Lucas and Jelly Rolls, track 10 on I'm Not Busy Now. I'm Not Busy. Now I'm Not Busy. Jelly Roll goes into this chorus, and this chorus is it's an emotional chorus. It's because how can you love someone and learn to let them go? When people this chorus out, I'll read this whole chorus out and then I will talk about it. He says, "How can you love someone and learn to let them go? How can we fall apart on things we'll never know? It isn't funny. You can change your ways for someone to fill your empty space. Tell me, is it really love if you have to ask them if they'll stay?" Let me go into the question is always, how can you love someone and learn to let them go? Let me start off by saying that is not an easy process. When you see somebody going through addiction, and Jelly Roll gave a congressional hearing about it, where you have a lot of people dying from like drugs that aren't necessarily safe. And so they're dying in high numbers. I know somebody that was looking for like love, that was looking for love, but they could never find it, so they turn to drugs. And this isn't me kind of endorsing this. This isn't me being fully against it. There was just things in life where they had to use it, and they were trying to find love because they didn't have a good attachment style. That sounds psychological, but it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. A lot of people may love somebody and they may go no contact because they love the person too much. And it's partially true. Especially because you'll never know what they're truly going through unless they tell you. But a lot of people are using because that's the only way they feel like themselves or they feel good. Some people fall into depression to where they don't want spells of depression where they don't want to get up without it. Or they take drugs that when you try to withdraw from, it can kill you. The withdrawal itself can kill you because you lose tolerance when you use constant drugs. This knowledge is a gift and a curse, but it's not a funny thing, and a lot of people will try to force you to change your ways, and I'll happily admit, there was a time for a single person where we had this conversation where I was like, it's not necessarily that you need to but I worry, right? And it was funny, and it wasn't funny, but it was a serious conversation we need to have, and they might not remember the conversation. Um, but it's kind of the truth. It it's not easy. It's not easy. Um, but it's true. If you love some, if you if is it really love if you ask them to stay? The people that I was talking about, but it's an honest question. People will see you at your highest and they might want something from you, but when you're at your lowest, some people do leave, and they don't necessarily leave. If you have to ask them to stay, they act, not necessarily that they can't, um, that they're against you, but it just might be better for them to know because they worry about you too much. And this doesn't mean attacking anybody that's addicted to drugs, or anybody that's like extremely against it or extremely for it. But it's hard to walk away. It's hard to walk away. Um, the people I'm talking about, they know that I am only a text or a call away. But it's so hard to walk away. It's not as easy as people will say. Oh well, they don't respect your boundaries. Uh, so you should just be able to walk away. It's not that simple. Depending on your relationship with the person, it's not that simple. Um, so we're gonna get to Joyner Lucas's first verse, which sounds amazing because I talked about this chorus for what seems like a while, right? Which seems like a while, but it'll be cut down. So it seems like a while. And Joyner Lucas goes, "Yeah, I got someone I love, someone who's really important to me, but they're addicted to drugs, and it's kind of like it's it puts statistics show that it does put a strain on the relationship between people and it's a strain on a relationship between two people when they are fully in love with somebody. It's a connection that a person has, and they don't want to lose that connection, but they know that a person's addicted to love. So it's more of an acceptance thing. It's an acceptance thing, and it takes years to build. Someone who doesn't use, someone's not who they used to be. Um, I said I wouldn't get too personal, but it's you see a shift in a person where they are at the will of their addiction, where they don't feel like themselves without the addiction, or to a certain extent where they don't feel like themselves, so they don't even feel like the person, but they don't seem like the same person you because they're just trying to chase a high, or they're trying to run from something, and it's oh this is it's gonna be deeper than I thought it was gonna be, but it's very hard. It's so difficult. It's so difficult to love somebody that you know they're addicted, and they're not the person who they used to be because the drug takes them over in their face. They don't look the same. If it's like a hard drug, like can I say if it's like if it's like a hard drug, like a Schedule one drug that has no medical value. Maybe this isn't a visual podcast because I can show you some pictures of like like what cocaine does, like what certain drugs do to like the um what certain drugs do to like people's jaws, and how the withdrawal is deadly, but it's I ain't gonna say any names at all. I don't want anyone to judge, and that's strictly why I'm saying like person A, person B, person C, person D, because I don't want anybody to judge them. Right? Oh, I don't want anybody to be judged whatsoever. I don't want anybody to be judged. You know, it's it feels like an addiction that you can't escape. It's the it's a normal pathway, right? Where people try to reuse because they have like a dopamine rush, and then they keep using because they want to keep hitting that high, but they can never reach that high. Oh, it's really not. Um, ooh, I'll say this. Even if I don't know you personally, and it's some anonymity that I'm losing, but it's oh my god, it may seem like people are judging you in society. Society puts a stigma on people that are addicted, and that stigma is slowly changing, and that stigma is slowly changing because the what, but it's slowly changing, and it's not easy, and some people are. I'll give you that. Some people in society do judge. It's just don't feel like everyone's judging you. Some people are there to help you. Uh, there are some substance uh, counselors, and I'm not saying that I am one, but there are some substance abuse counselors somewhere. Um, there also are counselors you can reach out to. If I can't find them before I put this episode out, I will definitely make a note to add it to when I promote it. Put some hashtags. Um, but I, it's not easy, and I don't want them people to think I thought. And Joyner Lucas says, I wrote this song in hopes when they hear it, they never forget who they were. Um, because some people do. Some people do. When they're addicted, they do forget who they were. And normally people, it's like an episodic erase or amnesia, where episodic amnesia, where they just forget certain events leading up to it, and they can forget events in their past and not remember stuff in their future either. But it's in the present, they forget memories. I'm sorry, I'm using a lot of clinical terms. But it's true. It's not something where you hope they come back to themselves. He says, I hope you feel your spirit enough. It's just when you don't have it and you withdraw from it. I hope that you feel enough for yourself. I hope you feel enough for yourself. I just want to tell you I'm gonna love you in case you really don't hear it enough. Which a lot of people that are addicted, either if it resents to homelessness or they don't believe it themselves or they don't hear it, right? They're loved. They're still human. They still deserve love. And they may not hear it enough because of the dynamics of whatever friendship they have, and they might be blamed because they're constantly addicted to it, or they think, oh, you can just get over addiction, and it's seriously not that easy. It takes a lot of motivation and willpower, right? It's it's good to know that they're loved. So him saying, I just want to tell you I love you, in case you don't hear it enough. And I know we ain't talking a while, but I don't care what it was. I want to reach out. Granted that these are normally my Sunday release episodes, I do want, like, if you know somebody, please reach out. Please check on your people, because in all truthfulness, you never know when the last time you're going to speak to them, but you also never know when the last time, or what'll necessarily give them a chance to recover. You never know. They may have never heard I love you and I'm here for you, so they keep using. You never know, but it's better for them to know and get off your chest. But you keep on shutting me down, and you ain't been caring as much, which a lot of people, they may not ever hear I love you, and they may never think that, oh, you don't care because you never reached out. You saw me going through it, and you saw me spiral. And then a lot of people go, what happened to you? What happened to you? And they don't understand that the drugs mess up the dopamine pathways and stuff like this, and GABA, and they don't understand that drugs can really affect a person's personality. Physically, emotionally, it can affect a person. And this isn't me trying to give a lecture on all of these lyrics while I go through them, but it genuinely is true. It's not something where people are like, oh my, I didn't realize that this was not a big issue. It's a huge issue. You're losing a fight. I never thought I'd see the day that you let your addiction ruin your life. And a lot of people that have addictions end up homeless. Statistically, by the data shows that people that have addiction normally do end up homeless and still end up using. But if we don't have programs in place or a support system, a social support system, then they can't rebuild themselves, and some people do die from it. And then we talk about this, and I think I've ragged on about this, but everyone calls this a disease, and it makes you feel like you're right. Right? We shouldn't be attacking, and I love the way that Joyner says this, but we shouldn't be attacking people that have addictions because we don't agree that it's a disease. We believe, or people believe that it's a person's choice. When it's in the DSM diagnosis something manual every year, and it's simple diagnosis that alcohol abuse, substance abuse. When it's in the DSM, I think we should just sit here and say it is a disease that some people do suffer from. When we look at people that had drug abuses and they had cocaine addictions, and then, or weekends where they would do cocaine, and then Monday they would be in the hospitals because they were sick because they didn't have any. We could argue it's a disease. And so people saying it's a moral responsibility, we can talk about that. But the amount of deaths that are caused because of this disease, if we lose millions a year to it, it should be classified as a disease. But I hate the fact that you want to use it as an excuse to do what you like or do what you might, which is, oh my god, this episode I'm going to end up getting emotional, and it's going to be a longer episode. But it's the fact that people think, since people are saying that it's a disease, it's an excuse. No, it could genuinely be true. But they never had anyone that showed them love or anything about it. So, or no motivation to try it, so they never kicked it. They never kicked the habit. It's not really an excuse, it's the truth. If it makes them feel like a better person, it's not an excuse. It's the truth. I keep praying and reaching for you. I got a lot of people I pray for, but and I said this isn't to make me seem more religious or more greater than thou. No, and I'll sit and argue. No, never greater than thou. No, I just think humans, but that's a speech for another day. But I'll be praying for a lot of people. I hope the man see all the things I see in you. I see amazing things in a lot of different people that are dealing with this disease. No matter what the specific disease is, right? I see a lot of people dealing with it. And it's kind of made me go into professions that I want to go. But I've seen a lot of people go through it. But I see a lot of things in people, and I talked about A, and I talked about person A and person B. I hope reflection sends you a message that this is deeper. This is much deeper than you. It really is. It really is, and it's to get hope. If you don't believe in yourself, then you'll never believe in someone else that's believing in you. I'll go to bat for anybody. A person, B person, C person, D. I'll go for bat for anybody, right? Because that self-love, that social support for a person that's dealing with addiction shows. that it can help people get through addiction, but they gotta have somebody there for them. And sometimes they're not gonna love themselves. That's humans. Because I'm about to lose it. You want to deny it, and just want to make a million excuses and tear our family apart, and you'll leave us scaring and everyone bruised. It happens. It genuinely. I'm not saying that it's acceptable, but it does happen, especially people that fall with addictions. It can push people to the edge. It really can. It takes mental toughness from the person that has the addiction, but the people around them. It takes a lot of mental toughness. But there are a lot of people that are in denial because they'll say, it wasn't considered a disease, because you chose it. It wasn't a disease. It's not a disease because it wasn't considered a disease in my lifetime. And we're changing that slowly. But some people do make excuses, and it does tear families apart because it takes a village. It takes a village to help a person get through it, and it will leave some people with scars. It'll leave some people scared. From personal experience, I'll share my personal experience. There were sometimes I was scared. I'd receive a phone call in the middle of the night because I was worried I'd get that phone call. But it is true. Every decision they make does affect you. It affects that village when they make a decision. Like if they fall back on the wagon, it can lose. Yeah. Because addiction takes a village, and I love that he points this out. And I'm gonna be next to leave. I know I got a plan with you, and you're not fulfilling it. You're not fulfilling your destiny. As much as I need you, I will not be sticking around to watch you rest in peace. It's hard to come to terms with. It really is. That you may receive that message one day that, hey, you may get this message that goes, hey, I'm here to inform you that so and so is in the morgue because they had an overdose. Can you please, you were their last kid, so we wanted to let you know where they're at, and this person's died of overdose. But it's also hard to hear today. These are all examples, but today there was a person that laid on the street. When paramedics came, he was dead on the scene. The cause of death so far is an overdose. One of these is news reporting. The other is a phone call. It's difficult to accept that one day, any moment, they might call. You might get that call. It's dangerous to get the call. And some people cannot take that call. Some people genuinely cannot take that people because it takes a village. And some people in that village, I will tell you, it's the future of them being dead is, it's a battle in itself. I promise I love you, but I gotta do what's best for me. I gotta do what's best for my mental health. And do what people would want me to do, which is that is a fight. And this is from the person that's addicted's point of view, but it's a very true point of view. Look, I know you've been calling for me. You've been hitting my phone, but I've been alone for so hard. It's hard to reach out. And for a lot of people that's addicted to certain crime, for addicted to certain drugs, it's very hard for them to reach out, right? Because they feel like they're nagging somebody or they're not with somebody that approves of them. I know you ain't saying any names, but I got a feeling you're talking about me, and I hate when these demons get inside my soul. I feel like I'm caught in beefs, which I never know what to say, and that in itself, how do I go for something that's how do I go for something that I know is bigger and stronger than me? They need that village. They need that support system, that support network. If I could be honest, I'll tell you, I'm not who you want me to be. Nah, and that's fine. I think that's fine that people aren't necessarily who they you're not who they think they are when you're addicted. But at the same time, it's they have higher hopes for you. That's all it is. They want to see you do better. They want to see you be better. And that's not saying that you're bad when you're on it, but they just want to make sure that you're mentally, physically, and emotionally okay. No one is perfect, not even you. So why are you targeting me? And this is the thing. This is why when people have conversations with people that are addicted or people that aren't addicted, they only see their point of view and they feel like they're being attacked. And some people do. Some people flat out attack them, saying, "You chose this, you did this, and this caused you to spiral down, and this caused this." But it's never much of a. It never feels like much of a conversation. And this is why he says in his line, "I feel like we can't have a conversation without you starting to preach." Because they feel like, oh, you're just trying to preach that you're higher and mightier than me, and it's a choice. But it should be a bi-directional conversation. If it's not a bi-directional conversation, it's just a speech. It's just an argument. It's just this, with no other input. So it's basically your assumptions. I feel like on a leash. I feel like a dog on a leash is not what I need. Living in hell, warn you how I gotta leave. How can I breathe? How are you going to tell me addiction's not a disease? This is, and this is that reference of how do we say something of something we don't know? Like if you're not addicted or you've never been addicted, you'll never know. That is not a disease. And they say if it's not a disease, then why does it got to me? It could be a lot of reasons why. Genetic prepositions. It could be a lot of things. Environmental cues that censor those genes that are more or receptive to certain drugs. It could be a lot of things. Genetically, it could be developmentally. It could be a lot of things. But that person feels like they're messed up. If you say it's not a disease, they feel like a malfunction. They feel like they're not the best person. You always want to make me feel like I'm the problem. That they're never the problem. They're just battling it. They're just battling the disease. They're battling something they've never faced before. If I'm not going to be the person who you want me to be, look, God decided for me, which is going to be hard for people to just be like, I'm gonna let you do that. It's gonna be hard. How do you know God's plan? You don't. Some people may feel that way, but you don't. It's one addictive drug. And this is gonna be a tough topic. But he says I've been inching away trying to get out of this dream. It's hard for a lot of people that will go, hey, I'm trying to get clean. It's very hard to get clean on certain drugs. It's very difficult. It's not as simple, hey, boom. It's not. And some people, to not to fall into relapse, you have to do it for 10 years. And even then, it's a small chance that you will relapse on certain drugs. It's not simple as people make it seem. How are you only there for me when I try to get clean? My biggest mistake. It's a lot of people will try to be there for you when you. That's why they build like support groups of people that have used or specific drugs or that have used it. They try to make support groups, and they normally work because if that person falls, you fall with them too. But you break them through the hard times and the soft times, and that's what they call sponsors. And why is it I've been stuck in the same position? I'm falling. I can't, but I cannot budge. I've been wondering why I'm in love with this strange addiction. A lot of people that's addicted feel like it's a strange addiction, and so they can't budge because they're trying to beat it. And some people do relapse, and some people do, and I like the way that he does this. But it's, why do you feel like, why are you always playing the victim? But a lot of them aren't. Okay, some people may, but not a large majority. A large majority is just trying to get free. It's a lot to get free of addiction. It's not simple. A lot of people say, it sucks that I had to change your vision of me. It's okay. So overall, I like this song. This song's an 8 out of 10 for me. It's a deep song. It's very sentimental. As you can see, I was kind of ranting in and off here, but it's that chorus, in that second verse from Joyner Lucas, by far make this song something to listen to. But it shines a light on people that are suffering from addiction. It shines a huge light because they never know what they're gonna do. They never know when the next meal is coming. They never know if they're gonna. They never know what's gonna happen to them. But it does take a toll on the people that are just there trying to support that person. It takes a mountain of a molehill. It takes so many people. Some people fall under the pressure. Some people relapse. And with drugs having this a dopamine, like the okay, I'm gonna get a little technical. Let me get a little technical with everyone here. But it's the dopamine release that builds a bunch of dopamine, and it builds in the synapse, and it's so much that that's how much your body would normally need to keep it going. And then when you stop, your body stops naturally trying to make that much dopamine, so then you become under withdrawal. And when you withdraw, oh my god, and this got deep, and this got deep quick. A lot of people, it's saying a lot of people from grace, because a lot of people fall under addiction because it's something in which, if you're not prepared, and I'm not saying that people become prepared to become addicted, but it's something where it's dangerous because tolerance isn't the same. But it also shows that people are trying to make sure that they feel better. But it's an open story that some people would never feel better. Okay, I'm gonna send another text message out. But if you know who I am personally, I do want to say, not personally. If you don't know, but if you know somebody personally, I want to say it gets better. Hopefully, it gets better. It gets better, and it's one road that I will say, it's not for the weak. It is genuinely just simply not for the weak. It's a lot of battling. It's a lot of worry that people worry for people that normally fall under addiction. It's a lot of days where they don't want to get up and do nothing. It's a lot of days where a lot of bad can happen, and it's not. And I have to let me do that first. Let me applaud it. So before I end this, and I will end this eventually, because I know this is longer than my normal episodes. Let me end this with a few things. It's an 8 out of 10 for me, but also let me say that Joyner Lucas' penmanship and Jelly Roll's penmanship on this masterpiece right here. I won't say a masterpiece, but it's a great song for people that have had to deal with people that are addicted, but also people that are addicted. It shows both sides of this story, and this penmanship is something I rarely see in artists nowadays. And the fact that they're able to do this is something I it's something I hope that we become more accepting of in the future. And it's policies like this that'll criminalize stuff like it's so. I'm not that's political. It's not, but it's it's one hell. It's a ride. So with that being said, uh, person A, B, and C and D, I'll reach out to you individually. It's a conversation I've had this conversation before I made this episode, but it's man, it's a struggle because I to end this discussion, it's a point where it's all love. It's all love. You know, if you need something, please call me. Please text me. You have my individual number. But it's hard to see it. It's very hard to see it and not feel sad for people. And if that makes people gullible, sure. But it shows that people are human, even through addiction. Which addiction in itself is that 1 year token or that 6 month token they get for being off of it, but it has a high recidivism rate of people relapsing. That there needs to be something put in place. But with that all being said, if you enjoyed the episode of Royalist King CJ Music, the King CJ Music podcast, I would definitely tell you go listen to another episode. We have a few episodes today that came out, but I would definitely say listen to other episodes. They're more of a lighter tone. I do cover some songs that are darker, but the past couple have been lighter tone. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode, or at least learned something from this episode.